means we'll be live. Welcome or bienvenue, welcome once again to another live stream. As the keen-eyed amongst you will notice, Hamish McLay of Search Convey, our esteemed mentor, Lord and Saviour, is there in the corner, started this whole flipping thing off. And we have today's special guest, Chris Tremlett of the UK Homes Network. Now, please bear good mind. Today's topic is Bricks Banter Bandwidth, building clout online. And I'm afraid, as per usual, I'm throwing Hamish mercilessly straight under the bus.
And no reason why you shouldn't. No reason why you shouldn't. No, it's great having Chris along with us for a number of reasons. First of all, we've actually put things in perspective. We just had a total element of sort of stupidity brought about because of the messing around with stamp duty, which was totally unnecessary. It could have stayed the way it was. It could have been reverted. It's certainly something which does need to be reprogrammed. They need to look at it quite seriously. However, what happened as a consequence of the change in stamp duty, there was a massive, great amount of work required by conveyancers and conveyancing solicitors to get people over the line before the end of the month. Now, of course, the challenge that brought with it is this inter-battle that we actually sort of seem to have with people who are involved with conveyancing. And one absurd comment was, why, if conveyancing solicitors can act this quickly on this occasion, why can't they do it all the time? But people fail to realize that some of these conveyancing solicitors, not only was some working 7 days a week, others were working up to 18-hour days and daft things like that to achieve the whole thing, because there's a lot involved with conveyancing. It's got busier and busier and fussier. And we seem to have this battle that people who are involved trying to achieve the same ends aren't able to do with each other. Yet what we have is a platform here, which Chris is co-founder of the UK Homes Network. There are people involved within property, within the conveyancing industry, who actually speak and get on with each other. There's never a harsh word spoken. There isn't even any criticism. And that's one of the great things about what it's actually sort of achieving. And to me, it's a nice little pause after all the madness of sort of last month that we sort of came out from people under an awful lot of pressure. In fairness, they were saving. When you look at it, they would have saved hundreds of thousands of pounds for each of the clients, if not billions of pounds by the time we get to the end of it. But let us hand over to Chris, who knows a bit more than I do about UK Homes Network and how it benefits people as being a member.
Oh, welcome to Property Matters. Would you explain a bit more about how UK Homes Network benefits their members and what people should really note about it?
Yeah, thanks, Gareth. Thanks, Hamish. I'm really excited to be joining you two today. I've been watching sort of various episodes, and I always get a bit of beard envy when I'm on, because you gents have got fabulous beards, and I'm not quite at that level of growth. But yeah, so
don't worry, when you finally hit puberty, yours will come in.
Yeah, I think I'm a few years off that. Yeah, I mean, having said that, I've been in property for about 14 years. I have worked in sort of many different capacities, whether that's, as an estate agent. I've also worked for a house builder and in the property finance sector, and more recently in the prop tech sector. And one of the sort of key standouts to me was that as an industry, we've got so much to keep up with, whether it's in terms of new legislation. We've just had the spring statement, all these sort of changes that are constantly we're having to adapt to as an industry. And yet as an industry, we're being told that we're being left behind because we're not doing enough on social media. And I think that particularly from my time in a estate agency, it was always that you would nominate someone in the office just to sort of take on the social media to promote business. And unfortunately, I was that unlucky person, and really had to sort of
So that makes you an expert, right?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I've been playing around with social media sort of in a business to business capacity for probably the last 7 years. And I've been fortunate enough to work for some big companies, you know, some smaller companies, but the challenges always seem to be the same. And that's how do we as an industry stand out and reach our customers or our potential clients and get the right information over to them whilst trying to navigate algorithms that are purely set up there for advertisers, you know.
Well, yes, quite right. And may I interrupt and say that part of the UK Homes Network Massive has gotten in line and is jumping in there immediately. Charlene Revisny. I apologize if I've mangled your name, Charlene. I'm a member and I've met some people from day one. Good Lord. By the way, you should know that there is now a channel devoted to all things property. We've got a number of different channels on there. It's called Spilling the Property. And we got the manager of that, Kirsty, who is immediately jumped in to say that, and also says, as a social media manager, you agree property industry and construction industry is definitely one of those that lacks in social media. So obviously, Chris, you're hitting the nail firmly and squarely on the head.
Yeah, well, it's one of the statistics we looked at is that sort of, you know, professional social media managers, digital marketers, I think it's like 58% of them really struggle to stand out in their niche online. And particularly when you're trying to cut through to something as niche as, you know, a landlord or a developer, it's really difficult to try and navigate social media algorithms to make sure that your messaging and your content is hitting them first time every time. So yeah, it's great to see Charlene on the call and on the podcast, and she was on a live stream with us yesterday, sharing some information about, you know, how she's using social media. So we're building quite a fierce network at the moment of people that are not only some of the best professionals in property, but also that are so keen to promote themselves and share great practice. And I think that's what's really pushing UK Homes Network forward, is the fact that these people that are giving up their time to spend it on our platform are sharing such great content and really sort of creating a culture of support, which is fantastic to see.
Well, I'm so glad that you're there, and what a great first guest to this week, Hamish. Don't you think? I think that they are representing the value that is really needed in the property network.
Very, very much so. And I mean, I think all we need to do is look at LinkedIn to see about the disparaging comments that certain people make within the industry. And when you actually sort of find there's organisations like UK Home Network, and we know fully well, WigglyWam, how they're working away. And in actual fact, is another interesting aspect, because that is gathering together the right sort of people. And what we can actually say for the moment with UK Homes Network, it is property related people we are speaking to. And you actually sort of know whatever comments you're making. LinkedIn is a fabulous channel, and it has tremendous assets that we can all buy into and make use of. However, there are within LinkedIn, it is representative, and this is what makes it good, of course, it's representative of many industries, of many different sort of facets of businesses. However, it is very good on occasions. And what I quite like about sort of Chris's organization too, there are a number of organizations who actually operate with face-to-face networking. So you are speaking purely to people who are involved with property, and that's what makes the difference. And I haven't explored it as much as I can, and fortunately with me, between me and my sort of team, we'll certainly be doing more of that, because it's sort of in a way preaching to the converted. I'm not a technology man myself, which is why I rely on the likes of somebody like Chris or indeed Gareth to sort of guide me sort of through that. But being able to communicate with property people, I think, is a great asset to many others who haven't yet looked to see what UK Homes Network offers, or in fact the type of way that we can gather together as a community, if you like, as a property community, a particular sort of channel. And it's a great way of getting together, because as Charlene explained, that she's been there for quite a time, so she already knows a lot of people, and I'm looking forward to actually meeting many others.
No, she also piped up and said that apparently you're very welcoming, Chris. Well,
oh, thanks very much, Charlene. I really appreciate that.
And Kirsty is also chiming in and saying we need to get this out on your network, so that would be marvelous.
Oh, Kirsty, I think we've got a chat coming this week with me, you, and Hamish, and we're going to sort that out and make sure that we can deliver this fantastic podcast to all our members. So really looking forward to that.
Well, that's brilliant news. Hamish, I know that we've got plans afoot to spread even more of this podcast joy to further afield. But so far this year, there's been so many twists and turns in the property market, it's hard to keep up.
But I think this is what Chris actually sort of made comment too, because we have within, UK Homes Network, as an example, because there are a number of people who come from different facets of what goes on within the property industry, they will be keeping up with their knowledge, and they will be broadcasting that's available through UK Homes Network. And therefore, like we can, again, the WigglyWam platforms, this is what I admire about theirs too. We have all of these different experts. And what I do enjoy particularly is what I learn from these people when we do in fact have these gatherings where we bring them on. And we ought to say this, any members of UK Homes Network who are listening in at the moment, who feel that they could make a contribution and help the public become more aware of what is going on with the property industry and would like to sort of chat, do please sort of get in touch with me through sort of LinkedIn. We can get in touch with Chris, because he knows how to get hold of me, or indeed sort of through Gareth as well, so we can actually sort of bring you on board, because this is an open channel that we actually sort of have called Property Matters, and this is why we like to expand it. And this is the first one with Chris, and it certainly won't be the last, where we look to explore what avenues we can go down and how we can help the general public, as well as the experts, the professionals there, and finding out exactly what is going on everywhere within property. There are so many changes, and the government constantly bringing in the changes, even from the legal perspective. I know, because they do a lot of work, and both Gareth and I, we do speak a lot with solicitors within our particular sort of field,
right,
particularly in sort of property quorum. There's so much which keeps changing, and trying to keep abreast of that is almost impossible. I don't know how you manage it, Chris.
Well, yeah, you picked up on an interesting point there. I was literally having a conversation this morning with a lady called Natasha, who runs a sales progression company, and they work particularly with agents and solicitors, and they make sure that the estate agent can go out there and generate new business, so they handle the transaction, and they can keep it quite a nice relationship between the conveyancer and the clients. And one of the points that she raised, which is really interesting, and I think feeds quite nicely into this, is that the unfortunately we don't really see what the conveyancer or the solicitor does. We know that they're working in the background. We know that the searches are being raised and then the inquiries are being raised. But as an industry, if we were a little bit more vocal and shared our unique experiences in terms of what it is that we do on a daily basis and help educate, the rest of the market, that's something that could really earn a lot of respect from, estate agents versus conveyancers, or mortgage advisors versus lenders. And sort of trying to channel people into a platform like UK Homes Network, where they can share those experiences, is a great way of not only building relationships with them, but also if you're able to understand what it is that a conveyancer is doing behind the scenes, you can also then educate your sort of end user client and share that information with them, so that maybe the public perception of property and the way that people are, the way people perceive either property developers, solicitors, conveyancers, actually by osmosis starts to improve. Because I know firsthand, working as an estate agent, a lot of people seem to think that we sit on our hands and just wait for the phone to ring, when actually there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of organisation that needs to go into making sure that a property not only can be listed on the market, but also then once the transaction gets underway and an offer's agreed. So I think that those whole parts of sharing what it is that we do and educating people on what our unique experiences are of the kind of jobs that we get to on a daily basis, not only make great content on social media, but actually have a real beneficial effect to our stakeholders.
Well, Hamish, this is an excellent first UK Homes Network Property Matters Invasion. Would you like to take us home?
Well, indeed, no, I do. I'm very pleased. I mean, we've been planning to do it for some time to get Chris on board, and it's taken me quite a while to get there. One of the whole aspects of what we try and do within our podcast is try and help the public understand certain things, and it's quite interesting. We have a podcast which goes out on Wednesdays of each week, and we tend to try and keep to 1 o'clock for the majority of them, except for one which I will mention. But tomorrow, for example, we're speaking about it from the search industry. It just so happens I'm the chairman of an organisation called the Association of Independent Personal Search Agents, and in actual fact, that particular focus is on searches, on what we do to promote, how we support, if you like, the conveyancing side of the business through the searches we provide. And we've got an excellent sort of team on tomorrow explaining really why it is they're so good, because they have kept clients for over 20 years. And so they'll be explaining about sort of all hands on that. On Thursdays, which is the only early matter we have, is a combination, which is rather good. And again, it might be a good indication, we get Chris on board there as well, that we call it Property Quorum. And within that Property Quorum, we get the legal expert on. We always have sort of Juliet Babulal, who is a Gunnar Cook partner, to explain anything from the perspective of the legal side of the business. We have a property developer, Chris Gilsonen, who specialises mostly in sort of HMOs, but he is very, very experienced in development and investment in the industry anyway. But a combination of those, and we invite guests on a regular basis. And tomorrow we just happen to, we're speaking about leases, which is a topical type of thing. And do you understand anything about leases? I haven't got a clue. I'm going to find out some stuff.
I went out with a Lisa once, but I don't know much about them as a race.
No, it's too darn complicated for me. But Zara, who joined us on Thursday, knows an awful lot about that. And of course, Juliet herself. I mean, the two of them, between the two of them, the number of years of experience they've been working with. So this is one of the great advantages of this. And so it's welcome to any new listeners that we actually, any new viewers from the UK Network, as well as the other channels that we actually sort of go out on normally too.
Well, don't forget, of course, we've got the cladding matters on a Friday, which has already been mentioned in the House of Lords several times, and also has been brought to the attention of the ex-Premier of Australia, bizarrely. And they seem to be championing us as well. So, yes, really good for that.
I mean, that is more a campaign, because there are very few councils that don't suffer from this. The cladding issue that we have in this country is a very, very serious thing. And an awful lot of people who live in properties which have cladding, they have suffered quite significantly and continue to suffer from a downgrade in the value of their property, disproportionate sort of aspect of a health being affected, an increase in charging, all sorts of things condemning them. But that's on a Friday. But anyway, that if you like is more a specific type of thing. Nonetheless, it's well worth listening to if you haven't got a clue about cladding. So thanks indeed, Chris, for joining us today. And hopefully we will get to see you in due course.
Well, look, all it remains for me to say is, as I've returned to my green screen, video problems continue, but life is like that. Welcome to live television. Thank you so much, Chris, for taking time out of your busy day to be with us. Chris, Hamish, thank you so much for starting this whole show in the first place. And to all of you out there, keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars. And remember, although it may seem complicated out there in property land, there's probably a way through. You just got to be consistent and keep your mental health together so you can focus. Until next week, I wish you well. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye now.